Coming at you from New Jersey, the capital of misery and the place where metal forgot to die. This is Here Lies Metal, and today we are bringing you my picks for the best and most interesting metal to come out in 2022. If you are new here, I am Samantha. I am joined in the corner by Maledictus.
Hi, I'm still here.
I did pick this list. Maledictus doesn't really like things. He's more of a hater.
No, yeah, I don't really.
He is hate.
I don't do lists, really.
I'm love. He is darkness. I am light. But we still enjoy his comments, and so he's producing this episode for us. But also, if you're new, we do focus on underground, kind of, I would say, heavy speed death, some black, some thrash metal. So yeah, stay tuned for some mostly underground picks, 2 exceptions. All right.
Yeah, I don't do lists because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So that's my reason. Anyway, okay.
Let's begin.
Let's go.
Number 20, Miscreants with their debut album, Convergence. This is a technical death / technical thrash, perhaps, band from Italy. And this came out September 19. We've got bass solos, we've got jazz chords, we've got spoken words in between the death metal vocals. Very prog, very technical, clean production, but with feeling. And somehow it all comes in under 31 minutes. So, very cool debut album. I also want to know, whenever we have an Italian band...
Can I ask, do they have costumes?
Yes, Maledictus asked if they have costumes.
All Italian bands have costumes.
And I would say no, except for the fact that they're all wearing shorts.
They're dressed like 1980s skaters.
And I will say I love the album cover. Very beautiful colors. Okay, number 19, Witch Slayer. Witch Slayer. This is their debut album, Witch Slayer.
Which Slayer? Which Slayer are we talking about here?
We're talking about Witch Slayer.
Okay, they're the Witch Slayer.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Of heavy doom metal from Chicago. Came out June 3rd. Now, important to note, this is a band that came back. They're true 80s originals. All these songs were written in the 80s, but they were recorded in the present day, so I'm going to say it counts as a new album, even though they're all old songs. And prior to this, their own release was a 1983 demo, so that's fun facts. And as you can imagine, this sounds very genuine because it is genuine. It is the true article of some, new wave British heavy metal style doom that would come out, back then. Just, great songs that could stand up next to, all the best of stuff that was going around then. But I will say I love these guys. Their lyrical theme is very anti-witch. They're witch slayers.
Oh, that's true, right? Instead of being pro-witch.
And they're really true. The whole album is about that. They're not singing like I love music or anything like that. It's all anti-witch and all anti, evil, sexy witches.
I mean, it's kind of like Witchfinder General is kind of anti-witch too, I think.
Yeah, but they also sing about I love music
and drugs and stuff.
And look out for me.
Yeah.
But these guys are just scared of being seduced and eaten by witches.
Fair.
And it's kind of funny, and it's also good songs, good riffs.
Quick comment: when a band comes back together like this, I wonder how that goes down. I wonder how that either they were playing the whole time, or one guy calls them and goes, "Hey, what are you up to?"
There's an article up about these guys, what happened to them. So that explains it. That there's an answer to that question. Number 18, Cult of Extinction, Gnosis of the Wicked. This is their second album of Black Death war metal from Bremen, Germany. Came out April 9. One-man band. Got some very dirty riffs on here. Spooky atmospheres. Bestial war metal bludgeoning. Call and response between demon and supplicant death metal vocals. Evokes the summoning of an ancient and brutal demon. And even brings in death doom elements. But, I say war metal. I'm using a lot of scary terms here. I would actually say this is kind of listenable for war metal.
He's bringing back the demons all by himself. One-man band, the best kind of band, in my opinion. Next.
Number 17, Witch Nights.
Witch Night. Witch Night, are you available? Is it this night? Guys, if you keep using witch, I'm going to keep with the stupid jokes.
Old Steel Breath. Debut album of heavy speed metal from Santa Fe, Argentina. It came out November 18. Some very necro-crusty riffs on here. And just look at that album title, Old Steel Breath. You already know if you want to listen to this. And if you think you want to listen to it, you do. It's just very fun speed metal time. Simple, effective. Got a lot of speed metal shrieking, songs about vampires and ghosts. And the songs are, well written. It's not just blistering speed. They put a little effort into the songcraft here. And I do just want to point out this band photo as well. If you make this your band photo, I will listen to your album.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to do something interesting like this.
That's a promotional trick here.
Yeah.
Tricks and tips.
Yeah, too many bands do the, standing in front of the brick wall with angry faces. It's time to do this.
Do this.
Yeah, there it is. Folks, listen. There it is.
Number 16, Death Cult of Soil Unearthed.
Should I do that in a death metal voice? Of Soil Unearthed. Is that appropriate for this?
We'll get into it. This is death metal. I don't think we need the death metal voice. This is their second album. They're from Zurich, Switzerland. It came out January 28th, all the way back in January. I don't forget. This is more like evil, dark death metal than like gross, disgusting death metal. So we've got a lot of big, evil riffs, very dark, morose, and they manage this without like doing any dissonance, which I think bands fall back on to create a kind of uneasy sound. But they just have a lot of fast and kind of almost fun, but very evil riffs. Production strikes a perfect balance of being clear enough to hear all the layers because it's a very dense wall of sound coming at you without sounding too clean either. Like it still sounds kind of dirty. So I like that.
I wonder if they're friends with Tommy G. Warrior. Since
I'm sure everyone in Switzerland knows.
That's true. Everyone, they all know each other in Switzerland. Obviously, everyone.
Number 15, Nightlord, Death Doesn't Wait.
I feel like that name has probably been used before. Is that
Nightlord?
Yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong. But.
Well, they're from Poland, so I feel like when you're English second language, you get a little pass on having an uninteresting name.
Absolutely.
But this is the debut album of heavy speed metal from Poland, out November 11th. A very nice, simple speed metal album about evil shit and staying up late. It's full of riffs and attitude. And if you liked Witch Night, you will like this one too. They kind of go hand in hand. Listen to them both. And because they're another fast band that they're not forgetting to write actual songs to go with the riffs. Like I think a lot of bands, they just write a riff and they just kind of stop right there. Number 14, Vrenth, Succumb to Chaos.
I'll do the voice.
We can use a death metal voice.
Vrenth, Succumb to Chaos.
So this is their second album. They are death metal from California, out September 5. This album is heavy enough to crush your bones, but it's just got this slight hint of sophistication behind all those brutal riffs. I enjoy both the highs and the lows of death metal, and these guys bring both together. Because you don't find a lot of twin guitar solos in death metal either, and they've got a few of these on the album, and I think that's a really nice touch. So we reviewed this as well, so if you want interested, you can check that out. Number 13, Abyssus, Death Revival. This is a second album of death metal. A lot of second albums on here. From Athens, Greece, came out January 21, with a January entry. This is death metal, but of a really thrash variety. Not too down-tuned and heavy, a very strong Jeff Becerra style vocal to really just tie it back to the thrash roots of death metal. Real nice riffs, focus on songwriting, fresh riffs on every song, very listenable, and definitely the most listenable of all the death metal on this list. This is your level 1 entry death metal, but that's not to say it's not good, it's very good. So. Number 12, Blasphemy, The Lower Catacombs. And we're going to need the most disgusting death metal voice you can come up with for this one.
I mean, just by the title, just by the logo, you needed, a voice like that. The Lower Catacombs. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the second album of death metal from New Jersey. And it came out May 13th. Very dirty production, dirty riffs, filthy everything, grimy, gross death metal. Nasty. Nastiness that descends into nastier, slow as shit, cavernous, death doomy sections. The album is somehow both epic and disgusting, which are feelings I usually find in conflict, but they coexist here, not peacefully. Number 11, Universally Estranged, Dimensions of Deviant Clusters. So this is the second album, death metal one-man band from Houston, Texas, came out October 28th. Big, weird, interesting riffs. Scary entities from beyond, riffs of madness, spacey interludes, ultra-dimensional death metal. This isn't space death metal, it's like piercing the reality to the other dimension style death metal.
I think it might be like Lovecraftian, perhaps, the far corners of madness.
And I will also say the production has the perfect levels of reverb and grit without losing anything sonically. And I will also highlight this is another beautiful album cover.
I imagine that's what color is there.
It's got some pink.
Yeah, there's definitely
nice.
There's tentacles there, so we're talking about.
It's also
here.
disturbing.
Yeah,
it's like disturbing in a way we can't describe.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I wonder if the dimension of deviant clusters are. Maybe is that like clusters in space?
Well, I don't want to go there because I have that fear of clusters.
Whoa, do you have a
Everyone
fear of like
of.
star clusters in space? Maybe he's referring to like this other universal dimension where there's deviant clusters of planets or something. I don't know. Just being that it's about like dimensions and stuff. I don't know. It's my 2 cents. Anyway.
Number 10. We're in the top 10 now. Basilavat, an old forgotten text. This is a 4th album. I was actually surprised. I thought this was only their 2nd. It's their 4th album of black, as per the archives, black folk metal with hard rock elements, experimental. They're from Flint, Michigan, and this came out June 4th. And have you ever wanted to hear the barest, most primitive black metal guitars melded with mystical folk elements and a screeching black metal toad singing a stoner doom song? I mean, the answer should be yes, right?
Yeah.
That appeals to you. Even Maledictus likes this album.
I was very impressed with this. We talked about this for a while, this one.
But beyond that bare description, we did a full review of this, and if you have more questions, you should watch that, because we certainly get into it. I will just say this album makes me feel really good. It makes me feel positive emotions, good things. It's silly, it's a little sloppy, and it should not be underestimated, and these boys need to be watched. Number 9, The Chasm. Scars of a lost reflective shadow.
I believe it's pronounced The Chasm.
The Chasm.
Totally.
The Chasm. So this is their 9th album, their death metal, originally from Mexico, but apparently they now live in Chicago, and this came out May 27. So we're going to call these, old guard masters, maybe not, getting all the dues they deserve, but old school masters, The Chasm. They're back with an epic album that is very big, and quite frankly, a little bit nearly too big for my comprehension. It is extremely overwhelming. It is complicated, dark death metal, has a black edge and discordant elements, and is unrelenting in its intensity. It is level 3 death metal. It will raise your IQ, which is the exact opposite of what death metal usually does. So if that sounds interesting to you, you definitely need to check this out. Number 8, Steel, Inferno, Evil Reign. This is the 3rd album of heavy speed metal from Copenhagen, Denmark, although the archives note that they're not all Danes, and some of them have come to Denmark from Greece, France, and Poland. But this was their 3rd album and was out October 21. And it's just another simple heavy metal album and it just hits all my buttons. And this one just really gets it right. And it's done really well and just has great songs. And I can't explain why I like this album. It's just, I think it's the attitude on it, just the attitude and the riffs and the vocals. It's just, I can't point to anything tangible. You just have to listen to this one to understand. All right, number 7, Autopsy, Morbidity Triumphant. Okay, hopefully people have heard of this band. It's a little more obscure than some of my other picks here. I'll like to see Autopsy.
Oh, you mean Autopsy? I mean, I've been pronouncing them,
Maledictus recently learned how to spell autopsy.
Yeah, my whole life I've been saying Autopsy for no apparent reason.
Yes, this is the 9th album of these death metal originals from Oakland, California. Came out September 30. And I will say this is one of my only 2 kind of more well-known mainstream, definitely in quotes, because I feel like these guys definitely carry an underground streak to them on my list of hipster underground metal. But I have to include them because they're the basis of all these younger death metal bands that I'm always talking about and love. And Autopsy is still going hard themselves, so I must pay attention and I must include them, and they are definitely, very legitimately, one of my favorites. Greg Wilkinson is new on this album, and he produces and mixes, masters all the death metal that I like, so that was very cool to see. And he's a great addition. He's definitely, keeping up to the step up to the big plate of playing bass in Autopsy, which is definitely a thing. And yeah, this is just a nice slab of new Autopsy to add to the table, and it's great. It's got all the elements you like and nothing you don't want, and it's just really good. So. All right, number 6. The band is called Regal. I think we're gonna do a pronunciation check on this because I don't want to be disrespectful to the Slovakian people. Na severe srdca. So this is a debut album of black metal from Bratislava, Slovakia. Came out January 7th. And hello and welcome to the only normal black metal album on my list, and therefore my black metal album of the year. So this is some really beautiful atmospheric type black metal, very true to that style. It's got a lot of melodic folk elements, and it's just filled with many emotions of yearning and melancholy. Production is perfect. It really simulates this muffled sound of being in the forest without losing anything or being too Fisher-Price about it. And I will say we started going hiking more this year, and I feel like I got it from a subliminal message from listening to this album. So,
see what the black metal makes you. Some people, it causes satanic panic sort of activities, but this makes you do good things, like go hiking in the forest. Did anyone ever accuse metal of making people go hiking in the forest? I don't think so. So it's bad things. So there you go.
Yes, no, this is peaceful forest hike metal, although you might encounter some kind of eldritch being when you're out there.
That is a separate issue.
Always a risk.
Yeah, still, or maybe the Lesnick, if you're lucky, right? Like on the cover, we talked about that. Anyway.
Okay, number 5, Iron Griffin, Storm of Magic. So this is their second album of, as per the archives, epic heavy doom metal from Finland. Came out March 4. And I feel really silly putting this so high on the list. We're now in the top 5. Number 5, Iron Griffin, because it barely qualifies as metal. It is extremely stripped down, and it's more, at best, proto-metal, proto-doom. It's very 70s and even 60s feeling. Not heavy at all, light, ethereal, but also majestic and beautiful. It's blending these light metal and rock elements with folk melodies, led by a soaring queer vocal. I feel a lot of emotions listening to this, and it just echoes throughout my brain for days later. And I find it personally very inspiring for music that I would like to make. So I just love this album. It's just so charming, and I just recommend it to people who are pure of heart and need something nice in their life.
Stay tuned, folks.
Okay, number 4, Dark Throne, Astral Fortress. Here we are with our second extremely obscure band. So this is Dark Throne's 20th album of the Dark Throne genre, which is currently epic black heavy doom metal. And they're, of course, from Norway, and this came out October 28th. And those who follow this channel or my Twitter or whatever will know that I ranked last year's album, Eternal Hails, number 1. And I do claim Dark Throne as my favorite brand that is still, currently out there doing stuff. While I did find this album spottier than Eternal Hails, it is still Dark Throne. And I love this whole era of big production, big riffs repeating, epic meandering songs. I feel like this album could very easily have sailed straight to number 1 on the list on the back of the 10-minute epic, The Sea Beneath the Seas of the Sea. I love a band when the longest songs are your favorite. And also Eon 2, another very great song. But I just found it a little bit inconsistent to go just sail on the strength of those 2 songs to number 1. So it's going to sit here at number 4, which is still pretty good. And of course, it's recorded perfectly. And it's just, Dark Throne just can't miss. Even if it's not quite a 10, it's like a 9.5. So yes, Dark Throne.
Yeah. So that's why he just decided to use a picture of him ice skating to work.
Well, since I subscribe to Fenris's podcast, I know where that picture came from. It's actually not either of them. It's some like friends of his students. This is just a random picture they took. They're wearing a Dark Throne back patch and skating, which is probably just what people do in Norway.
Yeah, I think they skate to work. I think that's like a normal thing. Yeah. It's like Minnesota.
You just skate to get around,
Yeah.
and people like Dark Throne.
It's like their version of Minnesota.
All right, number 3, Pharmacist, flourishing extremities on unspoiled mental grounds. Maledictus, your grossest voice again.
Oh yeah, you need a really gross one for this album. Okay, Pharmacist, flourishing extremities on unspoiled mental grounds. It's kind of a mouthful too.
Yeah, it's tough.
Title.
Okay. So when we reviewed this, I named this as Album of the Year Potential, and I got pretty close. We're at number 3, and it's definitely my death metal album of the year. I've talked about riffs a lot already on this list, but for Pharmacists, we really need to talk about the riffs. They are interesting, intriguing, invigorating, and they come back. And the power of a Pharmacist riff coming back cannot be understated. They do sound like Carcass. Carcass. Thank you, Nandor. But frankly, I think they're doing Carcass better than Carcass. And Carcass is doing a good job of being Carcass. I'm not shitting on Carcass. So Pharmacist is doing a really, really good job of being like Carcass plus. This is another album that blends being brutal and gross with being high-minded and jazzy. And they blend it surprisingly well. And it features on top just guest shreds by Andrew Lee, in case you weren't overstimulated enough. There's a lot that can be said about this album. We did a whole review, and I'm not sure I got it to everything then. But yes, totally awesome. Very good job. Thank you. All right, number 2 album of the year is Negative Plane with The Pacts, ... So this is their 3rd album of black metal from New York City. It came out April 30. And this album is an hour long, and I did not really want to deal with it, but I simply had to, because despite me always saying I don't really like black metal that much, weird black metal at the end of the day always seems to be my favorite genre. Like, give me a band playing demented heavy metal with black metal chords and some croaking in the background, and I'm now listening to an hour-long weird black metal album. So yeah, this is some really great melodic, evil, heavy black metal. The songs are linear, composed journeys into arcane secrets, and you will be ready for the void once it's over. It is meticulously put together and recorded perfectly. It is epic, but I like that it also has this little mischievous quality to it. Serious, but with debatably fun moments. So yes, The Pact.
I wonder what the 3 dots are for. It's like The Pact.
Well, it's like the implication. So you're like, but The Pact.
The Pact.
The Pact.
You gotta say it a certain way. All right.
All right. We made it to our number one album of the year. And it is...
Lucifer?
Lucifer.
With a Z.
Lucifer, not to be confused with Lucifer.
No.
Lucifer, Iron Shackles.
Both from Germany, so that's awkward
Yes.
sometimes. But anyway.
But this is a debut album of heavy metal from Germany, and I'm not sure what can be said about this that could not just be experienced firsthand by listening to the first song, titled track Iron Shackles. Just listen to that song, and there's nothing I could say that song will not tell you. It's heavy metal, and it's not trying to be the fastest or the meanest or the heaviest or the hardest. This album is just nice. It is straight up nice. It has even some gentler rock style songs on it. But overall, I would just say this album is hot. Steam is coming off of this album from the power of pure songwriting and good taste. Nothing is overdone. Nothing is underdone. Album is perfect. 10/10. No notes.
I believe Lucifer is a proper German pronunciation.
Is it?
Anyway, I would imagine.
You
so.
liked the German singing on this.
Oh yeah, I like the way he sings.
Not all the songs are in German, but a few are in German.
Yeah. I like when a band, sings in their own language. I think more bands should, strive to just sing in their own language instead of trying to, really go down to English, so everyone else can understand.
I guess I didn't really bring up a real honorable mention portion, so I guess I'll just show you my tapes. So if that's, you made it this far and you don't want to see my tapes, then whatever, goodbye.
You always want to see the tapes, people.
So from what we already had on the list, I've got this Vrenth tape. Nice little black number here. And I've got the Stronger Regal tape, which is a very attractive kind of clear green.
Oh, yeah, it's like one of those, like, when you get blank tapes, right? It almost looks like that.
So that's... I guess I haven't bought that many tapes this year of my list, but I'll try to get more. But here's some other things I purchased. So I've got Autopsy. Definitely was a contender to be on the list itself. Just a little bit too heavy on the black metal for me personally, but definitely very good album. I've got a split of Mothman and the Thunderbirds versus World Eaters, favorites of the channel here, up and coming Canadian nonsense. And of course, I've got the Two Mold EP. They did a very limited release, 3 batches of these tapes, and they all sold out, but I got one.
Snagged one.
And it's very good. Of course, it's very good. It's fucking Two Mold. And hopefully we'll get more Two Mold next year or something. Of course, I've got Death Hammer. Of course, Death Hammer. This is a good album. It's kind of a little overwhelming, and I figure people know about Death Hammer enough that I'd rather feature one of the smaller speed metal bands. But Death Hammer is definitely still one of my favorite bands, and this is a good album, of course. I've got Cultist Manic Despair. We reviewed this. This is a death metal band out of Canada. Sounds a lot like Death Worship, but some very good, thick riffs on it as well. And this is Homeskin, Integument, and Crystallization.
It's hard to remember. Understand.
All right, I remember the name of the album. It's called Integument, Crystallization. Very frightening kind of black metal meets noise and weird carnival elements, and it's a lot, and it's very scary. And finally, this little demo we reviewed.
Oh, yes.
We haven't reviewed demos very much, but this is just really awesome, really cool. I really hope to see this band come out with more. They're called Sorcerer's Sword. I think they're out of Reno, Nevada. Very, very cool. And those are my honorable mentions. Just other tapes I bought. And of course, every other album we reviewed that I did not buy a tape for is, of course, an honorable mention. You can check out our review playlist. Well, what did you think, Maledictus?
Yeah, it's a very in-depth list of I think it's going to be a unique list compared to the lists of others.
We'll see. I've been abstaining from looking at lists because I don't like to be influenced.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. I think.
Or to second guess myself.
Yeah.
So now I'll be looking at other people's lists, being like, "Wow, my list is stupid."
No. To have the most unique list is the best virtue.
I'll be like, "Wow, I didn't get that album, and everyone has it at number 3."
Yeah.
All right.
Everyone's going to listen to different
We'll deal
stuff.
with these emotions another day. For right now, we will say thank you for listening. I have been Samantha.
I was Maledictus. We made it to the end of the year with this stuff, as we usually do every year. So what are we doing next? Are we doing the cover review?
We'll be reviewing our favorite art from 2022.
Because we love the art here.
We do love the art. So I'm going to disqualify everything that we just mentioned, be just for no reason, because it's not going to be a real top 20. It's just going to be a random list of art we like.
Fun stuff.
It's just a fun list. So these guys already got enough. We already looked at the art, so we're going to look at some more art. And there's some more reviews in the future. We've got a tea review we're supposed to do. I'm going to review the Midnight Tea, and I don't know what else.
A couple of things, maybe some more lists. I don't know, folks. It's been a year. We've appreciate all of you new subscribers for this year. All like 10 of you, but it's growing, right? So we appreciate it, folks, for watching and listening to these reviews. So we'll see you with more material next year, folks. We're not going away yet, all right? All right, folks.